riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am your host, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how goes it?
Pretty good.
Why don't you tell the folks at home what lovely album we have for their ears this week?
This week, we are doing a compilation album. This is James Buffett's Songs You Know by Heart.
For those of you who aren't familiar with his formal name, that is Jimmy Buffett. That's right, Parrot Heads. We're doing a Jimmy Buffett Greatest Hits album. Tim, let's ask the title question of the podcast. Do you hate this album?
I do hate this album.
Wow, right up front, no hesitation.
Nope. Do not care for Jimmy, James.
J-Buff?
Yeah, Jibu.
Nope. That's getting edited out.
Oh.
That's out of here.
Fair enough. Yeah, I do hate it. And just as a general rule, I don't typically care for albums that sound like they're all novelty commercial jingles for shitty Chili's-esque chain restaurants. Which is what all of these songs sounded like. I also hated Joe Crabshack's first compilation album for the same reason.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
Joe Crabshack.
Joe Crabshack, no, that is a restaurant.
Yeah, right. And this man is a restaurant. He's not a person. He's not a musician. He's a restaurant.
He does seem to be some sort of walking mascot for fajita flingers. But, honestly, you can cast aspersions, and we'll get into this a little bit, but he's nothing but authentic to his brand.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not an act. This is who this dude is. Yeah, but you don't care for that.
Yes,
you're saying
don't.
Right up front.
Right. He is who he is. I respect him for that. I just don't want it.
Yeah, that's fair. There's a lot not to want here.
Yeah. Garrett, how big of a parrot head are you?
I gotta tell you, Tim, not huge. Not huge. I do, in fact, hate this album. Right up front. It is... Well, we'll get into it, of course, but there's some trickeration going on here. It is not a good album. Being a greatest hits, this is the best that he has to offer as a musician, and that isn't good.
Yeah, that was what I found most confusing, is how on earth are any of these songs on a greatest hits album?
What's shocking is the amount of source material he has to draw from in order to create this album.
15 years into his career, and he was releasing an album a year for a good portion of that.
Oh, more than that, because this is his 18th in those 15 years. Yeah. Now, he did have one straight country and western album before 1970, but I don't know if they're even counting that one, because he then went on to become a busker afterwards.
God, I hate him. Tell us your history with this album.
Okay, so full disclosure time. This falls into the category of music I was curiously into in high school and thought it would get me friends and lady friends.
So this is another Smash Mouth for you.
This is another Smash Mouth for me. These albums are tough for me because they force me to reflect upon the person that I was and the decisions I made. And frankly, it makes me very nervous for the man I am today and the choices that I make in my life now because they're so off the mark. And I thought I was so cool. And I will point out some specific hurtful memories when we get into the song by song.
Excellent.
But my father was probably the only person in the history of America that not only subscribed to the Columbia House Record Club, but fully adhered to all rules, purchase agreements, and fine print when the rest of us were just stealing CDs from people that were dumb enough to mail it to us without us giving them any money. So my father went deep with it. He bought all the CDs, and I believe that this one kind of entered his collection around like year 4 in this commitment, and he was just like, I know who Jimmy Buffett is. We'll get that album this time in my next shipment of 20.
Too many albums.
Right. Columbia House was relentless. So I grew up in a fairly small town in North Texas. The predominant popular music in my adolescent years was country music, which I loathed because if anyone is familiar with country music in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, it's just atrocious. So my attempt to bridge that gap was to play Jimmy Buffett music. as loud as my car could.
Which is, in large part, country music.
Yes, but it is not country music that 16 to 18-year-olds are either familiar with or interested in hearing in either a friendship or a dating scenario, which I will give you poor examples of both later. Yeah. What about you, Tim? So I used to listen to this album. This was not new to me. I knew most of the words on this album. I have a lot of personal shame and sadness related to this. You, though? Is this your first time hearing this album? Was this...
Absolutely not. So I weirdly have quite a bit of history with this as well. The first time I distinctly remember hearing it, my 10th grade art teacher in high school had a record player in his classroom. And the first day, he brought in 2 records. He brought in this, and he brought in Exile on Main Street. Guess which one most people wanted to listen to?
Was it the Rolling Stones one?
It was not. It was the garbage record. Although I did not hate it at the time. Granted, my musical experience was somewhat limited then, but didn't hate it. Would have rather been listening to Rolling Stones. I remember liking it in college. But in my defense, we're talking freshman year in college, I was drunk 80 to 90% of the time at that point in my life.
That's fair.
So this sort of went with that.
No, this is definitely music geared towards people that are super fucked up. I checked, and my CD folder, which I keep in a closet now because who the fuck has CDs, still has my Jimmy Buffett Songs You Know by Heart with some sort of brown stain on it.
No, that's
so you purposefully listen to this music at one point in your life.
Yes, and I have heard this album a lot. However, these are the only 13 songs of Jimmy Buffett's that I've ever heard. I don't know anything else he's ever recorded. This, for me, is the extent of this man's music.
Yeah, and honestly, I think he would agree, based on the fact that it was a greatest hits album that came out in 1985, and it did not have any of his music post 1979. So I think he was just like, yeah, no, I get it. I have lost it.
I didn't really check to see what percentage of these songs made it onto like an album that came out in 2005, for example.
Ooh, I'd put it no less than 50%.
Probably.
I mean, what the fuck else is on there?
He's doing songs with Alan Jackson and Kenny Chesney and bullshit like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, that makes sense.
He's returned to his country musician nonsense.
Okay, so we both have a personal history with this album. We both were super huge losers that listened to it.
You know what? I don't think that's a fair characterization. I
do. Shut up, loser. I want to say, is it possible that it's like a phase? Is it like a teen, like a late teen male thing where it's just like, I like drinking and I like relaxing?
I think it's like a drinking phase. Yeah. I mean, every kid has the Led Zeppelin phase in high school, or every male, but I don't think, without the influence of alcohol, I can't imagine anyone's listening to this.
No, you have to be mildly distracted so that you're not focusing on what's actually happening. Otherwise, you'd be certain to change the channel. So we've explored this a little bit. Before we get into the song by song, what do you think as a whole, without addressing too many particulars?
My first thought overall is that I'm aware that this material predates the meteoric rise to prominence of one Weird Al Yankovic. However...
yeah, okay.
Do you remember that 30 Rock episode? They're trying to make a song that's impossible for Weird Al to parody by making it just intentionally silly.
Yeah, just ridiculously insane.
Right. That's what I thought of this album. It's just attempting to be Weird Al-proof by being so, like... You know, because Weird Al is just, oh, hey, here's a song, but wouldn't it be silly if this song was about Oreos? Just no, you know what? I'm going to make my song about cheeseburgers to start out with. Fuck you, Weird Al.
And I would say you're 100% right, save for the fact of Broken Lizards, Club Dread, and Coconut Pete, played by the late, great Bill Paxton.
This is also a new genre I didn't know existed. If you look on the Wikipedia page, this is listed as Gulf and Western.
Yes, and... Do you have a description of how they came to this terminology?
It's obviously country and Western mixed with fucking Caribbean nonsense. But I mean, it's a mix of adult contemporary. There's Caribbean steel drums throughout. And there's occasional like boat bells in place of cowbells. Also cowbells. Also cowbells.
There are cowbells, but
multi-bells.
We'll get there. Fucking boat bells.
I want to be clear. I have no problem with him as a businessman. I don't begrudge him his money. It's a scam, but I don't begrudge him his money. He clearly doesn't take the whole music or songwriting thing too seriously. Like, I'm sure he's laughing all the way to a bank that doesn't require a shirt or shoes, but this isn't music. Okay,
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. The music in this album is really good.
It's not good. It's technically accomplished in parts.
There are beautiful solos.
You love Jimmy Buffett so
don't
much.
try to make this out into some sort of thing where I'm trying to defend this album. That's not what's happening here. I'm being objective. There are beautiful violin solos, excellent guitar playing. Unfortunately, there may or may not be a concertina solo.
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy Buffett is droning over most of it. So, yeah, it's horrible. But musically, there's a lot to respect and appreciate in here.
Right, but that's the same thing as saying musically Fish is very good. It's true, they just follow all their worst instincts. But they're very good musicians.
However, most of these songs are 3 minutes or less.
Oh, well, that's true, yes. I am happy there's no 15-minute drum solo followed by, let's let the bassist play for a while.
Man, I might like it more. That would be so crazy. What percentage of a Jimmy Buffett concert is sung by the audience today?
Oh, I mean, every chorus. We can say that right off the bat. I mean...
So that automatically means what?
30%.
Conservatively 30%?
Yeah.
30%?
He's an old man. He can't be singing every night.
I'll tell you what, though. I looked him up. 70 years old. He looks great. Tan as could be.
Yeah. He looks like a tan Terry Bradshaw.
Terry Bradshaw looks like fucking Peter Boyle from Young Frankenstein, for God's sake.
Oh, it's not a bad look.
It is. It is if you're not Peter Boyle in Young Frankenstein.
It is if you're not going for Frankenstein, yeah. Before we go, we should mention his just insanely lucrative business ventures. He's got Margaritaville Restaurant, Margaritaville Shoes, Tequila, Shrimp, Guacamole, various barbecue sauces and whatnot, Margaritaville Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. There's apparently a Broadway musical.
More on that later.
Yeah, he's got...
that. Well, you know what? Fuck later. That Broadway show opens this March, but as we're recording this, just 2 days ago, Mr. Buffett was on the streets of Manhattan for the first premiere showing, handing out cheeseburgers just 2 days ago, as we record this.
I like it that he just has hobo tendencies.
Oh, yeah. That guy hasn't seen shoes in a decade. He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, so further business ventures here, because I'm only on line 2 of 6. Cheeseburger in Paradise Restaurants. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, string of bars co-owned with Alan Jackson, which is based on a 2000...
The thing about those bars, they open at 8 a.m.
Yeah. He's got...
And that speaks to a question I have throughout this album. Is he celebrating or lamenting his alcoholism?
I believe celebrating, or at least he wants his audience to celebrate.
At times he is lamenting it, though.
I feel like he's doing the thing that you do whenever you're in...
Is he bragging?
Like a first year. Yeah, you're bragging, but you make it sound like you're sad about it. Humble bragging, is that the thing?
Right. Instead of like a real alcoholic that just quietly stays in their room.
Exactly.
And doesn't talk to anybody
Yes.
about
A
what
real
they did
alcohol.
last night.
Yeah, a real alcoholic is ashamed of themselves. He's got 3 #1 New York Times best-selling books. He's written 2 children's books, and opening in 2018, the Latitude Margaritaville Retirement Village in Daytona Beach, which is a $1 billion property and is the place that Garrett Harvey and I will be spending our twilight years together.
Twilight years? Do they have an age requirement? Can we get in soon? Where is this at?
It's Daytona Beach.
Ooh. There's a list longer than a country mile of places I'd rather live. There's a list longer than my arm of places I'd rather live in Florida. But
we're going to be living in Daytona Beach. I know. I don't want to either. We have to.
Do you want the rustic rural attitudes of Alabama with the mosquitoes and swampy, undrinkable water of Florida?
Don't forget alligator attacks.
Ah, yes. Rampant alligators. New this spring, boa constrictors. Fuck you, Florida. Get it together.
So also of note, just one more thing to mention here. He's worth $550 million.
Well, I don't really think that I've done anything in my life correctly.
No, he's number
That's
13
insane.
on the list of richest American celebrities. In 2017 alone, he made $50.5 million.
Oh my...
He made $50 million in 2017.
Let's talk a little bit about how the Buff came to be, right? I don't think you dove too deep into his history because you decidedly didn't care.
Yes. Under History of Artist in my notes, I wrote, I don't care. So I will leave you to enlighten me here.
Well, okay. So I'm going to hit just a few high notes because guess what? I don't care either. But when listening to his music, you probably surmise that he did grow up in Alabama. He attended Auburn for a year before going to a community college and eventually Mississippi State, I believe. Then he goes on a busking brigade, so becomes a street performer for tips down possibly somewhere in the Caribbean or the Bahamas for no apparent reason. Eventually, he begins working as the first mate on a boat for industrialist and inventor Foster Talg. Did
That
you hear
sounds
about
great.
this?
No.
Okay, so first of all, I'm not sure I know what an industrialist is.
I believe it's somebody that built railroads or possibly invents steel.
So he does that for a while where he begins to perfect his Caribbean Western sound before finally hitting it big with Margaritaville in like 1976. I think I hit most of the high notes there.
All right.
I think that brings us to my favorite part, the song by song. Are you ready to dig into these sweet tracks?
I am, yeah.
I just had a small stroke there because I almost don't even want to do this. Did I mention that I listened to this album 4 times today?
Oh, God.
All morning. Track number 1, Cheeseburger in Paradise.
It's always good to start out with a song that makes me just viscerally angry.
Right. I would argue he couldn't have picked a worse song to start. Is this his worst song?
I don't know. Just what the fuck is this? Why is this on an album? Much less why is this on a greatest hits album?
The very first note I took, oh my God, how did I ever like this? It's embarrassing.
Yes, it is. There's no amount of alcohol that makes this okay.
No, and to be perfectly honest, I don't have much to say about this because it's so ludicrous.
Oh, I've got lots to say. There's all sorts of nonsense in here. First of all, the lyrics are, to get a cheeseburger in paradise. Then he changes it to be a cheeseburger in paradise. And then he says, I'm just a cheeseburger in paradise. The fuck does that mean?
I don't know.
All right. It's very strange. Like, is it the worst metaphor ever?
Maybe you're stupid. I honestly don't know. It's so dumb.
I'm just a cheeseburger in paradise.
I suppose he's just saying that, no. It's dumb.
This has the weird 50s rock interlude with I like mine with lettuce and tomato bit that drove me crazy.
My favorite part of the song.
Oh my God.
My favorite part of the song. Every single time where they broke it down.
I'm sure you were just screaming along with it.
I was laughing so hard. It's so stupid. It's like they hired a famous female abuser and gun toter. Who am I thinking of?
Roy Moore?
Producer?
Oh.
No, I'm talking about the guy who's already in jail. Wall of Sound.
Phil Spector.
Yes.
Yeah.
This reminded me as if you had hired Phil Spector to make a McDonald's jingle.
Yeah.
Like, structurally, it's all there. This is a put-together song, but it's about stupid bullshit.
It's a lot of effort.
For such a silly song.
Right.
It also reminded me of Hand Jive from Grease. If
Yeah.
you were also a gay little boy at 7. You might be familiar with that song as well. Boy, I'm sure my father was curious how that story was going to end. We're all surprised. Ended with a lady. Pretty crazy.
Oh.
But yeah, no.
Your story's not done yet, friend.
So threatening.
All right, would you like to hear some genius annotations of some people that did not think this is a silly song?
GeniusLyrics.com, not a sponsor, is where you too can go out and define what the artist meant by their lyrics. So Tim, hit us with the idiots.
This is amazing. The line, cheeseburger in paradise. This line is actually one of the most influential lines in song history. It talks about the struggle in Vietnam. All of America's children want to come home from war, then have their mothers cook them a cheeseburger. End the war in Vietnam. Even though, hold on, it's great because they figure something out here at the end. So end the war in Vietnam. Even though this war ended in 1975 and the song was made in 1978, it is still the same.
Tim, is this song about Vietnam?
Well, let me read you the second one, which I want to stress is by it. I can't say for sure that it's a different person. It is a different username. Could be the same person.
I don't suppose you have the username, do you?
No, I mean it's something innocuous. It's just
I know, but you have to start writing them down because I've been reading the screen names. They're ridiculous. They're just as ridiculous as the comments.
They're not as ridiculous as these comments. Okay, drinking lots of carrot juice, soaking up rays. It's a metaphor for rehab. Stuck in Vietnam, maybe.
What? Hold on. It's a metaphor for rehab. stuck in Vietnam, maybe.
Yes. Whataburger was not all that handy, and in the jungle, without reliable Arctic air or fresh water to fish in, a person might be naked and afraid and surviving on eating high-protein bugs, tree bark, fruit juice, or carrot juice would be a luxury in the battlefield because of its nutritional value. Plus, it markets better than complaining about MREs or the lack thereof. I love to keep on the sunny side. I get it. He is reflective and selective, shielding us from horrors we could not comprehend. Never judge a book by its cover.
None of that's in this song, man.
No. I think with that, we should move to He Went to Paris.
He Went to Paris. This song shocked me because previous to this, I hadn't listened to this CD in many years. So in my mind, I'd mostly just remembered that every song sounded like Cheeseburger in Paradise, which to a degree they do. However, when this song started and it was like straight country music, I thought, wow, we might be in trouble here. It's not called Why I Think This Album's Really Well Made. Luckily, though, this is just horrible. The moment he begins talking.
Yeah, I wrote down, this is the worst Simon and Garfunkel song ever written.
I have many references to Paul Simon in my notes as well. This is some bizarro Paul Simon.
Right. For me, this is one of the better songs on this for the simple reason that it sounds the least like James Buffett. I don't like it. I don't like it, but it's better. And,
it's not good.
Okay, so I have a question to ask you that I did not think that I would ever have to ask. Does Bob Dylan have terrible taste in music?
Oh, that's possible.
So,
it seems unlikely. Why do you say
Well, I say that because Buffett rarely played this song live until he found out that Bob Dylan really likes this song. So I dug a little deeper. 2009 interview. So not in 1964 when he was a crazy weirdo that enjoyed just constantly lying to interviewers.
It's 2009 where he's a crazy weirdo that's completely honest.
Yes. So ask who some of his favorite songwriters were. Buffett, I guess, Lightfoot, Warren Zevon, Randy. I don't know who Randy is.
Randy Newman.
Oh, all right. Fair enough. John Prine, Guy Clark, those kinds of writers. What songs do you like of Buffett's? Death of an Unpopular Poet. There's another one called He Went to Paris.
You know, though, I could see Dylan covering He Went to Paris.
Oh, we'll get to a song that he's covered. It's not this one.
God damn it.
I think that there is a good song in this. It's not the worst lyrics I've ever heard. It's not as deep as he thinks it is, and it would have been much better played just as a solo acoustic song with a different person's voice. But yeah, other than that, other than all the things he did, I think there's a good song under there. So you know something about the subject matter of this.
All right, so let's get into the secret, convoluted, and alarming history and inspiration of this song. According to Mr. Buffett, it is inspired by the story of one Eddie Bartowski. Mr. Bartowski, when Jimmy was a beginner in his career in Chicago, a club at which he played had a one-armed, quote-unquote, janitor. And that janitor would counsel the performers after their concerts, and he would sit down and play beautiful music despite only having a left hand.
So he was the Matt Damon.
Yes, a one-handed musical Matt Damon. So that janitor was Eddie Bartowski, a 20-year-old Jewish boy from the Chicago area, born in the 1930s, who had gone to Spain to fight against the fascists in the Spanish Civil War.
As you do.
Right. He came back with only one arm to a society that was completely unsupportive to his ridiculous pursuits. He had fought on the losing side, the quote-unquote communist side of the war, and his country had officially ignored him. He turned to heroin and alcohol, as you do, but remained a poet, artist, and musician. So that's a pretty fascinating story about a man that I would argue is a perfect subject to write a song about. Would you not agree?
Yeah, sounds great.
So, Mr. Buffett chose this man and his rich life to then strip out all of the details and information that made him interesting and make up a completely different story.
That's awesome. So the wife that was killed in the war, that never happened?
That did not happen.
That's so great.
He never lived there.
That's so great. Did he eventually go to the islands?
I think so. Sadly, though, he did return to Chicago. Ed Bartowski, 73, a Chicago legend who lost an arm as a member of the Abraham Lincoln Brigade in the Spanish Civil War, was an artist, pianist, and poet, and was tragically struck by a subway car just last Thursday. Not last Thursday here. This is very old.
Right.
But his life...
How amazing and timely would that be, though?
I'd be a little worried that somehow this podcast was controlling time in reality, which remains to be seen. I'm not ruling it out, but as of this moment, we don't know that to be the case.
Right.
Yeah, so sadly, the fictitious, real subject of this song did die, what I assume to be by his own hand as he jumped in front of a subway car.
Yeah.
But it was written up as an accident. You know how you accidentally fall in front of subway cars, right?
I've never had one hand. I don't know how that would affect my balance.
Well, he didn't have a hand for like 50 years. I feel like... I feel like he'd be used to it right
Probably.
now. Track 3.
All right.
Fins.
Yes. This is about locals trying to bang women on vacation, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she also maybe got a job while on vacation. That happened?
Yeah.
It sounded
As
that
you
way.
do. Because,
Right.
he's great at metaphors. Question. Mm-hmm. Should I start calling women bait?
No.
Okay.
In fact, I have written down not a lot of notes for this entire album, but specifically on this song, I have written down, you shouldn't call women bait.
Be sure to tell this to Tim, because he's going to pick up on this.
Yeah, and think that's totally okay.
Oh.
So I thought when I heard this song that it sounded like Huey Lewis was doing a reverse Chris Gaines and was making a country album.
Oh,
so if Huey
that
Lewis
is a
were to
great
have,
thought.
Yeah, so if he were to have an alter ego that was a country western star with a little bit of a Caribbean influence, it would be this.
Which
And
one
it
of those
would be
two would
a
have the
goof.
soul patch?
Ooh. Boy, I don't know. I think he might have a soul patch now. So I think you take it. You
okay.
take it off. Back to fins. Fins is a metaphor for dicks, right?
Yes.
So the song's about dicks circling a woman.
Right. I said that with too much confidence. I am not certain that this is about dicks. It is definitely about banging women who kind of don't want you to, because they're just
I got
they're
the
just
general
there to...
impression that she was not interested.
No, she
right?
wasn't. Yeah, because the whole
She
song
never
it
said
appears to
no,
be
but
it
I
appears
got
to be
the-
a warning to her, or it's
Is
phrased
this song
as a
an
warning.
anthem for sexual assault?
I don't know, but that does bring up our question that we now have to ask every album.
Lena Dunham would not approve of this.
Fair enough.
Specifically because of fins.
Other question: how the fuck is this on a greatest hits album?
Well, we're listening to Jimmy Buffett, so
No.
the harmonica in this song is excessive. I believe that this song alone might be responsible for Blues Traveler.
This whole album makes me kind of dislike harmonica, and I've never felt that way before in my life. I love harmonica.
Right? I
It's good
love
stuff.
harmonica as well.
Can we, the next time I'm there, can we attach the harmonica holder to your dog and put that in his mouth and just see what happens?
Yeah, we can try that.
Okay. All right, song 4, Son of a
Nope.
Son. Oh,
I just
got
want
more?
to point out that we're at track 3 here. Fins. I legitimately was already very over the idea of every song has to tell a literal story start to finish.
I have bad news for you for the rest of the album.
Yeah, I know. I feel like he attended some sort of seminar in 1968 and it was just like, learning to write a song. A song must have an arc, a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah, and
It's
he...
every one of them. All right, I apologize. Track 4.
Son of a sailor.
My first thoughts out, every time I heard this song, my brain went, ooh, how lovely. Is that James Taylor? No.
Yeah.
Because I just heard some sort of boat bell.
Right. I don't really like the easy listening adult contemporary feel to this. Don't like the guitars. I hate the harmonica on it. I hate the bass, and I hate that boat bell.
I thought that you were going to think I was a stupid, crazy person when I said boat bell.
No, that's what it is. There's probably a name for it, but I don't own a boat, so I don't know that word.
A Siemens bell?
It's not that.
It's clearly a Siemens chime.
I feel like you were just looking for an opportunity to say semen.
Don't be stupid, okay? Try not to be gross. We have an explicit tag. It doesn't mean we have to use it, okay?
So yeah, this is at least somewhat autobiographical. You know, again, like you were saying earlier, he's writing about...
He has worked on boats.
Right. And I believe on Genius Lyrics, they mentioned his grandfather was in fact a sailor, so I guess the title is literally true. I kind of had left a bad taste in my mouth that I'm just glad I don't live in a trailer end to
Why's
it.
that?
Well, first of all, is that the only other option?
Trailer, baler, sailor, Kaler, Taylor.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's it.
you know what? That's fair. That's fair. I guess.
Trailer was it.
Yeah.
I want to point out the concertina solo in the middle of this. Fuck
Yeah.
you very much, okay? Every time I heard that, I was reminded of the Simpsons episode where they go looking for Krusty after he fakes his death, and they ask if they have seen this man, and they blow up a Krusty balloon, and he goes, "Yar, that's handsome Pete, he dances for nickels." And then he begins to play a concertina. But this was a song made by an adult man that wasn't a joke, so that shouldn't remind me of that. Track 5. A pirate looks at 40.
This is another very literal song. Seems to be about a drug dealer lamenting the fact that it's not 200 years ago, so it would be more acceptable for him to be some sort of pirate.
I didn't view him necessarily as a drug dealer, more of a scallywag, but okay.
Well, yeah, that's fair. He was at some point...
He deals drugs.
Right, yeah, okay. I will say this has some lines that are genuinely poetic, like they're well-written lines. For example, I watched the men who rode you switch from sails to steam.
Okay.
That is a line that doesn't suck.
It's not about assembling a sandwich. So that's a huge fucking win.
Right. There are things here that he is able to do well, but I don't like this song.
These are just fleeting moments of not idiocy in a sea of poor writing.
Right.
I will say, by this song, I was definitely thinking this is some sort of bizarro Graceland. As if Paul Simon was just like, boy, that really went well. I moved down to Africa and I embraced the culture and the sounds of their music and I infused it with a modern day take. Maybe I'll do that in the Caribbean. But then he just got super drunk and made this as the first song. He's like, whoa, never mind.
So obviously this was written in the 70s, but the line, yes, I am a pirate, 200 years too late, I found that really funny. I kept thinking of, that takes on a much different meaning post-1990s Somalia failed state, right? Like
Somalia brought back the pirate and really rebranded.
Not in a good way.
Why would you want to be that?
It's romantic. And, sailing the seas, you're swashbuckling. I don't know what that word means, but it's...
I assume it's some sort of euphemism for what you do when you don't have ladies on the boat.
Oh, yeah. Right, okay, fair enough. I swashbuckle. Wait. You're talking about dudes banging dudes.
Again, we have an explicit tag, but it doesn't mean you have to just jump straight into the guy banging.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. You're on a boat.
I'm not saying there is. I'm just saying maybe it doesn't have anything to do with a pirate looks at 40.
There's also a fun little story. January 1996, his airplane was shot at by Jamaican police who believed the craft to be smuggling marijuana. And the Jamaican government acknowledged the mistake and apologized to Buffett, who then penned a song called Jamaica Mistaka. So fuck that guy, right?
Right. This song left me curious once again. Is he proud of the drinking? Is he a little ashamed of the life he's led?
Again, no. It's proud. It's got that kind of proud fuck-up kind of thing.
Sure.
It's sort of bragging about, oh man, I get by on my wits. I'm not planning for any of this. I just handle it as it comes.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to handle it as it comes when there's nothing coming.
And something does come, you got $500 million goddamn dollars. I'm so angry about that.
Moving on.
Okay.
Track 6. Here it is. They stuff it so deep. You got to make your way into there, but it's worth it. Margaritaville. The 4-minute and 11-second opus.
Yeah, I wrote sadly his magnum opus. Did you hear who this song was supposed to be originally recorded by?
No.
He wrote this for Elvis Presley. However, slightly before Elvis Presley could record it, he died while pooping.
Well, presumably trying to poop.
Well.
Opiates will do that too.
But think about Elvis Presley as the only voice you've ever heard sing Margaritaville.
Yeah, I wonder if Buffett ever would have recorded... I mean, he had to have. He would have had to have made a copy of his own.
I mean, eventually, yeah, but...
Sure.
We would have heard this... Yeah, we would have heard this probably... Because if you write a song and Elvis records it, you're not going to record that for a while, because Elvis owns that.
You would think.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's time to talk a little bit about not only how I feel about this music today, which I think is pretty clear, but the fact that I did, in fact, own this album and listen to it voluntarily, and unlike you, I would listen to it while not drunk out of my mind. I loved this song. I know every word to this song.
Yeah, I can see that. I suspect you still do.
Here's the thing that I've really had to come to grips with this week. Who was I trying to attract with this? So I would play this song specifically driving into the high school parking lot with my windows down so that people would know how cool I was. Who did I think I was going to attract with that music?
Let me suggest this.
Okay.
Was there a, let's say, 45-year-old, slightly overweight alcoholic teacher at your school that you were trying to have your gross little way with?
There was, but I definitely was not trying to bang her.
Oh.
It's funny you say that, though, because I came up with if there was some sort of 43-year-old waitress type that moonlights as a janitor with a pack-a-day habit.
And a severe drinking problem.
Well, oh, yeah, for sure. That she celebrates. by going to Must Be 5 O'Clock Somewhere. I propose, and I would like to introduce this into the zeitgeist, so take it forward, Internet. We all just admit that she's a real parrot head is now a euphemism for alcoholic, if it isn't already.
I like it.
But seriously, like and I'll get into it in later songs, but I would listen to this song specifically so that all the other fellas at my school would be like, whoa, cool song, bro. It never happened.
I'm sure.
Because why would it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like whenever I was in high school, this was dad music. It wasn't acceptable for a 15-year-old to be listening to this. And that makes sense because this was your dad's music. And then in college, especially the Southern, like, sort of fraternity kind of nonsense, you get the guys that are pretending to be 40-year-old men for something. Like, they're proud of their weird dad bodies. And they like it. Yeah. And it sort of fits, but I don't know.
I just don't understand how it was so off the mark.
I mean, well, that's the thing. You are so consistently off the mark as well.
I thought I was killing it. Again, thinking back to when I was younger, but I swear to God, this song had to have been on just a constant repeat in the fucking Oval Office during the George W. years.
Also, maybe Clinton.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, because he seems like a real parrot head. Yeah, totally. Unfortunately, now all it is just Wagner on a loop.
Yeah, but no one can tell who's playing it. That's just the soundtrack that's naturally happening.
It's what plays when you pick up any phone now.
Oh, we're all gonna die.
Yeah, we're being led by some sort of idiot Darth Vader. Anyway, I have my own genius annotation.
Oh, all right.
Not my own, but normally I don't necessarily write down a genius annotation. I leave that to you, but I do read them. And one stood out to me. So in the song, there's a reference to he got a tattoo of a Mexican woman.
Oh, this one's great.
So somebody in an effort to be Shut up.
Sorry.
In an effort to be helpful, in case anyone was confused, attached a photo of a person with a tattoo of what may be a Mexican woman.
It looks like a Day of the Dead picture, though, right?
So, yeah, it's a Dia de los Muertos
yeah.
tattoo. If you've seen Coco, Disney's Coco, it's that. Or the other one that looked just like it. I don't know what that was called.
Book of Life.
Book of Life. If you've seen any of these things, it looks like that.
And you should, because they're great. Go on.
Specifically, though, like, who is confused about what a Mexican woman is and what a tattoo is?
I don't think people aren't confused about either of the two things in isolation. It's whenever you bring them together that it
becomes a real mind bender. Right. All right. Moving on. Track 7. Come Monday.
Gotta love a song that name drops Hush Puppy Shoes.
And I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, God. You were only allowed to wear Hush Puppy shoes in high school.
No. So the only other genius annotation I wrote down, as you said, Tim, there's a reference to Hush Puppy Shoes. Mm-hmm. If you highlight that line in the genius annotations, you will see a photo of the delicious fried seafood treat Hush Puppies and a description that reads, Hush Puppies are a delightful treat of fried cornmeal. Jimmy is about to go enjoy some. What made me laugh even harder is that there is a voting system on these annotations, and this had minus 11 votes. 11 people were like, I don't think so. I think it's about shoes. I gotta downvote this. Mr. Genius isn't gonna like it. What the fuck are you talking about? Why are you on this website unless you have this podcast?
God, it's great.
It's a full description of what Hush Puppies are and a photo.
And then the best part, though, is that the next line, it mentions Hush Puppies again, but it gets it right as if that other person didn't comment at all. It just completely ignores it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. These people are doing the Lord's work.
Yes, they are. So I tried to listen to this album all the way through every time, start to finish, which again doesn't really make sense. Well, this is the first one we've done.
This is a rare exception.
But that's what I tried to do. And every time I got to this song, about halfway through this song, I was just like, I can't listen to this music anymore. And would either not necessarily stop it, but just my brain kind of shut off. So what I actually started doing was just, I made a playlist of all the songs in reverse order. And it's still right at this song. I was just like, no, God, no, not going on anymore.
Come Monday is your breaking point?
Yes.
You just can't handle it?
Yeah.
Really only one other note here. I recall a very specific day from this song. Driving from work to a house party. I was going to pick up a young girl named Christina. On my way there, Christina called and made up a very fake excuse for not being able to attend the party with me. I may or may not have been singing passionately to this song. I invited her to come to a party with me. She very pensively agreed when she could not quickly think of an excuse, and then called me before I could go pick her up and canceled. As you would with a guy who constantly listens to Jimmy Buffett. Well, later that night at this house party, I got blackout drunk on Parrot Bay rum, which is starting to concern me because is there a chance I was a real parrot head in high school?
Almost certainly.
I managed to take a step off of a 3-step down balcony, but I took them all in one, smashed my face, and saw her that following Monday. She felt so bad, and she agreed to go out with me the following weekend.
Ooh.
As normal high school boy would, I picked her up to take her to an RV and boat show that I thought would be hilarious to go to.
Oh my God, you love Jimmy Buffett.
But she had a trick up her sleeve of her own. Because, as it should be clear to anyone but 17-year-old me, she had no interest in going on a date with me. She decided to bring a friend on our date.
Ooh, two ladies.
Why did I take her to an RV and boat show?
Because you love boats and Jimmy Buffett and pirate things. And
I did it ironically.
Did she know you were going to an RV and boat show?
No, as far as she knew, we were going to dinner. She was just so scared to be alone with me.
Well, yeah. I assume your face looked like some sort of Fight Club scene.
Well, yeah, because I had taken a header off a porch.
Yeah.
Onto bricks, drunk on Parrot Bay and sobbing while I listened to Come Monday. God, what in the... I promise
Time for the boat show.
This is merely a snapshot of what was a very confusing year. All right, moving on from my deep and unaddressed pain to track number 8, Changes in Latitudes, Changes in Attitudes.
Yeah. I love... So, there's a ridiculous, grating, bouncy music throughout this.
Throughout this entire album.
Yeah, but this song is the worst, I think. Yeah. It's just
They're
everything...
laying on real thick here.
Yeah. There's a great genius annotation, though. It's those changes in latitude, changes in attitude. To which somebody has written, the chicken or the egg? Jimmy Buffett lives the dilemma for us to solve.
He lives no dilemma. He makes terrible music for alcoholics. I agree with you completely. This music is pointless. It is generic. It all begins to just sound like a remix of the same song 12 times in a row. Track number 8 to me is... maybe the lowest point on the album.
See, there's an aspect of this that I like.
Is it the Robert Frost quote?
No, but no, it's not.
If we couldn't laugh, we would all go insane was, unbeknownst to me, a Robert Frost quote.
Yeah, it's okay. So this is a parody of country, like love songs, right?
I don't think any of this is meant to be parody.
I think it is. I think.
Okay, hold on. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. How are you spelling parody? Is it 2 R's or and a T?
No. Oh. Jesus Christ, you stupid asshole. This sounds like a satire of a country love song because it's basically about some jackass trying to pick up a hooker, maybe.
Wait, which song are you talking about?
Why don't we get drunk and screw?
Oh, I didn't know we'd moved on.
I thought we had moved on.
You jumped ahead. Okay, let's move on. Number 9, Why Don't We Get Drunk? Written by Marvin Gardens.
Yeah, do you know who that is?
No.
That's Jimmy Buffett.
That sound familiar?
It sounds familiar because it's a Monopoly reference. It's a pseudonym that he uses that is just one of the Monopoly properties.
Is he just sitting around thinking of reasons for me to hate him?
Well, see, that's part of why I think this song is definitely just a parody of country music, of a country love song of somebody. Totally. So, like, from that standpoint, I don't hate it. It's annoying, but given the rest of the quality of music on here, this still shouldn't be on a greatest hits album.
Of course not. It's still borderline a Weird Al Yankovic song.
It's clearly him making fun of the genre.
Yeah, and I will give him a ton of credit in here. Once again, there's a beautiful fiddle solo in here. It's really, really good music.
Yeah, he does country pretty well.
Stupid.
He did bow to pressure from fans who were beginning to bring their kids to his concerts. and he changed "Why don't we get drunk and screw" to "Why don't we get lunch in school." Wow. That's gotta be so confusing. Like what the fuck,
insane.
dude?
That's so sad.
Right. That's the basic Cable shut the front door, or just the ever convoluted ways of,
censoring things to the point where it already takes something that wasn't very good and makes it way worse.
Yes.
When looking at the lyrics for this song, so in the middle of the song, he says, "Pick it, coral reefers," because he is Jimmy Buffett in the Coral Reef Band, right? Something like that?
Coral Reefers, yeah.
Well, the entire time that I listened to this album, so some probably 300 times in high school, I thought he was saying, "Pick it, coral reefers." I just assumed there was a coral in his band. Just an idiot. Like, it never even occurred to me. Look, it's on the cover. Also, I got to Google what a snuff queen was, finally. I was way off.
Would you like to enlighten us all?
It's just a country groupie.
Oh.
That's all it is.
Weird.
It's not important.
yours was much, much darker. And this is the problem, because you thought this was an anthem and you were going with it and you thought, ugh.
Well, no, because he specifies that she's not a snuff queen.
Oh.
Also, you can't really be again, it's not important what I thought it was.
Oh, good stuff.
Anything else?
No.
Let's move it along then. Track number 10, Pencil Thin Mustache.
What the hell is this?
I have a huge issue with this song. And I'll bring it up right up top. Okay, so this is an anthem for the days gone by of singing about when things were simpler and he was a young man enjoying Brill Cream and other things from the 50s, presumably.
Well, sort of, but based on all the names he's dropping here, he's clearly just watching television.
Right, but not from his time.
Right. He's remembering watching either that, or he's remembering watching television as a child.
That brings me to my problem. Do you know how old he is when he's writing about this yearning for days gone by?
30, somewhere
28 years old.
Yeah.
He's 28. What 28-year-old singing about Brill Cream?
Well, it was a different time.
I guess so.
He has this weird crooning throughout, as well as this weird ragtime piano.
Yeah, and again, I want to point out the fact that this is a CD that I would have playing in the hopes that it would lure a woman into wanting to make out aggressively with me.
Oh, I was really hoping you were going to say lure a woman into mating with me. Honestly, where I thought you were going.
Hey, did you hear this song about snuff queens? Who wants to get intimate? Anything else for Pencil Thin Mustache?
Nope.
All right, what do we got? Three left. Three left.
Start off with an ad for gum.
Yes. We're talking about track number 11, Grapefruit Juicy Fruit. This is a 100% Buffett original.
They all are. It's just a novelty song, but it's not even really a song. Like, it's a list of random nonsense after which he advises you to chew gum.
Right. And even, once again, I got lured in the beginning. I was like, all right, this kind of has like a nice country twang to it. This isn't bad. Oh, wait, no. That's the worst lyric I've ever heard.
Yeah.
This song is about grapefruits? I agree. He just lists some things.
He does that a lot. Pencil Thin Mustache, he was just sort of listing scenes from old movies.
Yeah. He's just reading TV Guide.
Yeah.
Cashing checks.
Yeah. Good for him. I mean...
Yeah, absolutely. I find myself in another situation where I don't actually take issue with Jimmy Buffett.
I kind of admire him. He's really found a good scam.
Yeah, maybe I should come up with some other drink that I could sing songs about and then siphon money off of Lushes. Margarita's taken. Pina Colada Burger's taken. What's another tropical drink? Sex on the Beach?
I'm sure that's taken by rapists.
Fuzzy Navel.
Don't sing that song. It gets weird quick.
It has to be a place, and it has to be a tropical drink.
The unincorporated.
You're not helping.
The unincorporated region of Fuzzy Navel.
Yeah.
Gross.
I feel like I could do better. Unincorporated land of Daiquiri County.
I expect you to have this song next week.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Oh
this
God,
stupid
no!
Fucking song?
I just want this one to be over.
Yeah, let's just jump right past it. It's 2 minutes and 58 seconds wasted. Right into my personal least favorite song on the entire album, track 12, Boat Drinks. It reminded me of... so for the 25% of our listeners that just sucked as much as I did as a child, for whatever reason, this song reminds me of Deep Blue Something's Breakfast at Tiffany's. If you're familiar with it, you probably understand what I mean.
I am, but I don't get it.
I hate this song. I have nothing else I want to say about it.
I've got a couple. This is the one you mentioned earlier with the I got a verse but can't rhyme it.
Right.
That made me real angry, but
Yes.
if I really think... So, obviously it's worse in execution, but I don't know if it's any worse conceptually than the Beatles' Michelle, My Belle, These Are Words That Go Together Well.
I'm going to allow it.
It's worse, obviously, but I don't know if...
But you're talking about a slight misstep in a body of
No,
work
okay,
that's
yeah, no,
almost
fair
flawless.
enough.
This fucking
This is emblematic
chicken
of this.
crisper jockey is all over the place with his nonsense commercial jingles and bloomin' onions.
He also told a story in concert about how he stole a cab once. February in Boston, cold, he wanted to go home. Rum and tonic was the antifreeze. Came out of a bar, couldn't find a cab except for one that was running in front of the nearby hotel. There was no driver in it. I was too cold to care about the consequences.
Drunk.
Yeah, so he drove it back to the hotel and just left it there.
Jesus Christ.
He's a dick.
Well, he's a rich dick, so he can do whatever he wants.
Fair enough. He did stress that he left fare on the seat. No idea how the driver got to it, or how
I'm
he
sure
fed his
whoever
family
stole
after
that
he
cab
was...
next probably enjoyed that tip for stealing that car. Track 13, the final track on the album,
Yeah.
Volcano. And Tim, I got to say something here. I think you know what I'm going to say, and we haven't pre-discussed it, but it rarely happens, and I really want to get it out.
Go for it.
I like this song.
You love a good, terrible Jamaican accent.
That part is unacceptable. I want to point out again, Lena Dunham does not approve of this album. And she's right not to. It grandizes sexual assault. There's definitely cultural appropriation here.
God, I hate that phrase.
Yeah, it's not great. I thought that's how culture... we're getting off topic.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the great song that is Volcano.
God,
I
hate
don't
it so
really
much.
have many notes for this. I just really kind of like this song. If I hadn't listened to it 600 times, I would still like it.
No, because I got to where, whenever I started listening to this album in reverse order, I got it first a couple of times. There's a lot of just listing places, city
that's fair.
names. It is one of the less offensive ones on here, but you should not like this song.
Yeah, I know, but I do. It's so
Just like you like all of Jimmy Buffett.
Right, just like the previous 12 tracks.
Right.
It does not salvage this album for me. Before we leave the song by song, I do want to ask you this last question about Volcano, track 13. Do you like it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's less terrible than some of the others, but no.
I can understand that. What about the song though? Do you like the song?
I fail to see your distinction.
I can understand how that'd be a little confusing. What I'm asking is, do you enjoy the last track on this album?
You know what? Yes, I like it. Let's move on. Please stop doing
Okay, great.
this.
I thought you might. Okay, so we've gone song by song. I don't think our opinions are lost on anyone at this point. Obviously, with an album this bad, it was a huge failure, right?
Oh, of course. It was...
Why don't you tell us just how much it failed?
So this was one of the slower selling albums for any of the records we did. On vinyl, it was released January 1st, 1985, and it topped out at number 100 in the Billboard charts. So you'd say...
Not that impressive.
Not that impressive. Since then, it has sold over 7 million albums. Which blows my goddamn mind. It has sold as many albums as Crosby, Stills & Nash, Deja Vu, Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion, Michael Jackson, Off the Wall, and a favorite of both of ours, Yanni Live at the Acropolis.
I bought that album for my mom for Christmas when I was 13.
I was unaware of what it was.
I've heard it many times.
Is it good? I bet it's good.
No, what? No. It's
I
fucking
feel
Yanni,
like
dude.
Beck might have covered that in his, whatever that weird series he was doing, cover albums.
Oh,
where he
the
did Velvet
Record Club?
Underground. Yeah.
Yeah, they did cover Yanni, and then they made up lyrics because none of the songs have lyrics. That 100% happened. A little history for anybody who wants to know what the fuck we're talking about. Beck did a series of one-take album covers called the Record Club Collection. Find them on YouTube and his website. They're phenomenal. But yes, they did cover Yanni Live at the Acropolis. Anyway, back to garbage. This album this is how you make $500 million. Well, that and licensing every possible stupid thing you could sell an idiot.
Yeah, he's Charles Schultz. Just everything Peanuts related is going to be sold. Yes.
The Gene Simmons approach. Although I don't believe you can get research, find out, is there a parrot head coffin?
Gotta hope so, because
Yeah.
after we retire to latitude Margaritaville, we're gonna eventually die, Garrett, and we'll be buried side by side.
No,
Imagine.
unconsolidated land in Daiquiri County. I hate this album. You hate this album. What do the professionals think?
So I didn't look up any critic reviews because I could not bear to see how well liked this almost certainly is by people who are supposed to know music.
Oh, well then whose reviews did you look up?
I enjoyed quite a bit the reviews of random idiots on Amazon. They're great.
You know what? This album sold so well, you've got to go to the people. Tell us, Tim, what are the people saying?
Well, first of all, 92% of people rated this 4 or 5 stars. The vast majority, which I will not read, they mention intergenerational love for this asshole. These are people that have brought their children or have been brought by a parent or grandparent. And there's a lot of people that are wishing this was a double album. Not enough Jimmy Buffett for some people. Let's get into some specific reviews here. I'll start with some 5-star ones. The first one is from 2016. It's called Not a Parrot Head, Just a Guy Who Likes Good Music. These songs are timeless. Jimmy Buffett should be on everyone's playlist. These hits can be played at weddings, keggers, and even funerals. So maybe there's a Jimmy Buffett coffin, and we can have Jimmy Buffett playing at our dual funeral.
How are we gonna, hold on.
It's not important. It's not important. I think we should just move on to the next review, which is entitled, I Love My Little Black Kitty Cat. I love my little black kitty cat. I didn't get it for any other reason than it's a cute black cat. That's the end of the review. Now, this is a crazy lady that somehow figured out how to purchase a cat on Amazon. However, it also says that this is a verified purchase audio CD, so she did definitely buy Jimmy Buffett Songs You Know by Heart.
She must have also purchased a cat.
Yeah, yes, definitely, and just got them mixed up.
I hope she also purchased a cat.
Let's see. And this is a guy who knows Buffett well. He calls him Buffet, though. He's missing a T. I met Buffett 25 years ago when I was a newspaper reporter. Since then, he has never forgotten me, giving me front row seats to concerts, and his music is breathtaking. This brings back to the old classics in a great sound. Proothead first, Deadhead second. I miss Jerry, but thank God Jimmy is still around and continues to love to sing and write.
Okay, so my confusion is almost certainly the source of egregious spelling errors, right?
Yes, he meant to say parrot head first, deadhead second, if that was okay.
Which is weird for somebody who is a journalist. I think you would hit the spell check.
Yeah.
Or notice the red line of
yeah.
automatically is spell checking for you when writing an Amazon review.
Right.
But whatever.
Yeah.
You got any more?
Yeah. This one I'll just read a little bit. The madcap meister of mishap, the crooner of craziness, the sultan of sauciness, the incomparable singer-songwriter emeritus of the millennium has to be Jimmy Buffett, who seemingly effortlessly composes and performs so many wonderful, silly, and yet poignant, meaningful ballads about love and laziness, and then it goes on for 4 more paragraphs.
You will never convince me that wasn't you.
I did read it with a confidence that belies.
I would call it a zeal. I assume you have nothing in front of you.
No, I'm just
from
telling
your heart.
I have 2 negative reviews, and I want I have to read them together with ideally no comments in between because it's a common thread and it's a very strange one.
Okay.
So this first one is not what I expected. 2 out of 5 stars. His party songs are fun and engaging and do want to make one feel like they are at a great party. Not this one. Maybe I wasn't familiar with a younger Jimmy Buffett, but sorry, I bought this as a gift from my husband, frowny face. Will be sure to listen to more of the songs the next time I buy a CD on loan. Next one, also 2 out of 5 stars. Not the best collection. When I started listening to this CD, I was surprised that I found it devoid of the energy I associate with Jimmy Buffett. His newer material, both studio recorded and live albums, have an energy that is lacking in this older collection. If you enjoy a more mellow Jimmy Buffett from 20 years ago, or just like him for his radio hits, this is the album for you. But if you're into the hardcore, serious partying, spontaneous, energetic JB, if you call yourself a parrot head, skip this album. So, these 2 reviews posit that there's a side of this asshole that's even less serious than what we see on this album, right? These are people, they view this record as his late period, I know I'm about to die Johnny Cash phase.
I think they equate it more to the acoustic Dylan era.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair.
Just bummed out that he's not nearly as hardcore and action-packed as the 70-year-old version is today.
Oh, God, but what the hell is his later music? We have to do a follow-up episode.
Yeah,
I really don't want to. But
nobody wants to.
We
ever
have
hear
to
Jimmy Buffett
know
again.
what later.
What does modern Buffett sound like?
So that's what people think of this. People that are not us.
Tell me, Tim, who is this album for?
So I have a few different people. One, obviously, party animals. Two,
Big fat party animals?
big fat party animals wearing Hawaiian shirts. Two, all Floridians, and there's some overlap there. The non-discerning Weird Al fan.
I think it is for people that want to listen to music, but do not like to listen to music. I think there's like a lot of guys in like vests with no shirts.
Maybe some cutoff shorts.
Oh yeah, jorts aplenty. I feel like there's probably a common thread of skin cancer. And obviously alcohol abuse. This is the musical equivalent of just boat culture. And if anyone's not familiar, boat culture is not something you want to be a part of. Okay, we've talked about the songs. We've talked about how we feel. We've talked about what other people think of it, who should be listening to it. Are there any other final thoughts you have on this album?
I don't think so. I have said a lot about this nonsense. I don't have anything else.
I too feel completely drained. I give it slightly more credit musically than I think you do. I do a better job of ignoring the lyrics. I feel like you really get tangled up. And if you're going to be listening to Jimmy Buffett and you can't not listen to the lyrics, you're not going to have a good time.
Oh.
Did you try listening to any part of this album drunk?
No, I did not. I should have done
That's
that.
irresponsible on your part.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
After thoroughly examining it, do you hate this album?
I do, and I feel like I'm going to hate the later Jimmy Buffett whenever we get to that just as much.
I too still hate this album. I possibly hate it a little more than when we started. However, I don't hate Jimmy Buffett. I hate Jimmy Buffett's music.
I respect Jimmy Buffett.
I do too. I would also like to know what a Jimmy Buffett album sounds like where he's not allowed to sing. That might be better.
Could be.
Apparently, there's some modern hits that are real jammers.
Oh, yeah.
I hope to not find out for a long, long time. We're going to have to put like a year
Oh, yeah, no, I can't do this anytime soon.
Okay. I've been Garrett Harvey.
I've been Tim Richardson.
The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.